Oh, you liar. You remember everything. It's in your eyes, it's even in the way your mouth turns down at the corners. And now, everything's in Darcelin's hands. He raised one of her hands to his lips and kissed the back of it, as if to emphasize this point. You know that old punchline, the one that goes, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill you? That doesn't apply here. I could never kill you. Everything I do, everything I've built, modest as it would look to some people, I guess, I've done and built for you. For the kids too, of course, but mostly for you. You walked into my life, and do you know what happened? You stopped, she said. He broke into a radiant grin. For over 20 years. 16, she thought but didn't say. For most of those years, when we were raising the kids and struggling to get the coin business off the ground, although that was mostly you, I was racing around New England doing taxes and setting up foundations. You were the one who made it work, she said, and was a little shocked by what she heard in her voice, calmness and warmth. You were the one with the expertise. He looked almost touched enough to start crying again, and when he spoke his voice was husky. Thank you, Han. It means the world to hear you say that. You saved me, you know. In more ways than one. He cleared his throat. For a dozen years, Beatty never made a peep. I thought he was gone. I honestly did. But then he came back. Like a ghost. He seemed to consider this, then nodded his head very slowly. That's what he is. A ghost, a bad one. He started pointing out women when I was traveling. Look at that one, she wants to make sure you see her nipples, but if you touched them she'd call the police and then laugh with her friends when they took you away. Look at that one, licking her lips with her tongue, she knows you'd like her to put it in your mouth and she knows you know she never will. Look at that one, showing off her panties when she gets out of her car, and if you think that's an accident, you're an idiot. She's just one more snoot who thinks she'll never get what she deserves. He stopped, his eyes once more dark and downcast. In them was the Bobby who had successfully evaded her for 27 years. The one he was trying to pass off as a ghost. When I started to have those urges, I fought them. There are magazines. Certain magazines. I bought them before we got married, and I thought if I did that again. Or certain sites on the internet. I thought I could. I don't know. Substitute fantasy for reality, I guess you'd say. But once you've tried the real thing, fantasy isn't worth a damn. He was talking, Darcy thought, like a man who had fallen in love with some expensive delicacy. Caviar. Truffles. Belgian chocolates. But the point is, I stopped. For all those years, I stopped. And I could stop again, Darcy. This time for good. If there's a chance for us. If you could forgive me and just turn the page. He looked at her, earnest and wet-eyed. Is it possible you could do that? She thought of a woman buried in a snowdrift, her naked legs exposed by the careless swipe of a passing plow, some mother's daughter, once the apple of some father's eye as she danced clumsily across a grammar school stage in a pink tutu. She thought of a mother and son discovered in a freezing creek, their hair rippling in the black, ice-edged water. She thought of the woman with her head in the corn. I'd have to think about it, she said, very carefully. He grasped her by the upper arms and leaned toward her. She had to force herself not to flinch, and to meet his eyes.